Hey everyone, welcome back to Cloud Hero with Alain. This is episode 8 and today we are diving into one of the biggest topics in cloud security, which is network security in AWS. If you've been riding along with me, you know I am on this journey studying for the AWS Security Specialty certification and sharing the lessons as I learn them. And this time we are talking about how to protect the highways and back roads your data travels on in the cloud. Let's jump in. Why network security matters? When I first started learning about AWS Network Security, I pictured it like my own house. You can have security alarms, cameras, even a dog in the backyard, but if your front door is wide open, none of that matters. That is what network security is. It decides who gets in, who stays out, and makes sure your data travels safely. The good news is AWS gives us a lot of tools for this. But just like at home, it is not about one lock, it's about layers. We're talking about fences, cameras, locks, guards, all working together. Hey, by the way, if you are studying for AWS Security too, what has been the toughest part for you so far? Drop a comment, please. I would love to hear what you have to say. Now that we've covered why network security matters, let's jump into the 5 core AWS network security tools. First up is network isolation and segmentation. The hero here is the Amazon VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. I like to think of it as your own private neighborhood in the cloud. You get to decide which areas are public and which ones are private and how data moves around. Basically, it is your own sandbox where you are in control of who goes where. Inside that VPC, you can set up subnets for public and private resources and then use route tables and network access control layers to manage traffic flow, keeping everything neat, organized, and safe. Second is traffic protection. Here's where your bouncers and fences come in. Security groups act like bouncers at each house. They check the traffic and only let in what you allowed, like web traffic on specific ports. Network access control lists are like security fences around the neighborhood, adding an extra layer of control. In addition to that, AWS Web Application Firewall stops bad traffic before it reaches your applications. And AWS Shield is like a personal bodyguard defending against DDoS attacks. Secure connectivity. Let's talk about this. If you need to link your on-premises data center to AWS, you have two main options: VPN, Virtual Private Network, or Direct Connect. For example, picture a company with a data center full of legacy apps. They can still set up a VPN tunnel to AWS so those apps can still talk securely to the cloud. Now, if you want private access to AWS services without ever touching the internet, that's where AWS Private Link steps in. And if you have multiple VPCs that need to talk to each other, you can use VPC peering or transit gateway to keep everything connected and organized. Now, let's talk about monitoring and detection again. You cannot protect what you cannot see. That's where monitoring comes in. VPC flow logs let you know who's talking to who inside your cloud. For example, you might notice a random IP trying to hit your database, which of course is a red flag. Then there's Guard Duty, your smart security guard. It uses machine learning to spot suspicious behavior, like if someone is trying to brute force loggings from unusual locations. And finally, CloudTrail and CloudWatch are like your surveillance cameras and alarms. They record activities and let you know real time so you can catch issues before they turn into bigger problems. Last but not least, data protection in transit. Even if you have strong defenses, you do not want your data traveling around unprotected. That's where encryption comes in. With TLS or SSL, your data is encrypted in transit between users and AWS. So even if someone intercepts it, they cannot read it. For example, imagine a customer submitting credit card information on your website, right? But with TLS in place, that data is locked up tight during the trip. An AWS Certificate Manager makes it easier to handle all those security certificates behind the scene. So, no headaches, just safer connections. That's the backbone of AWS Network Security. Each layer adds protection, and together they create a strong defense for your cloud environment. I came across a quick scenario that ties together the 5 core AWS network security tools that we just covered. Imagine you are running an online store and your web servers sit in a public subnet. Your database is locked down in a private one. And in the meantime, you have a web application firewall filtering out bad traffic while AWS Shield standing guard against DDoS attacks. And Flowlog is quietly recording everything in the background. To me, that's a layered defense, at least the way I'm starting to piece it together as I am studying for this exam. Since I'm learning right alongside you, I would love to know if you are also preparing for the AWS Security Specialty certification. If that's the case, which part feels clear for you and which part is still confusing? And speaking of making things clearer, in the next episode, we will shift gears and decode all those AWS abbreviations like S3, EC2, and Lambda, so they all actually make sense. Thanks for hanging out with me today. This is Cloud Hero with Alain. Stay cloud smart, stay tuned.